more human remains found near the backpacker murders site. Shooting at a wedding leaves one dead, another critically injured, and our Pompey's unusual preparation for tomorrow's Melbourne Cup. Good evening. Police investigating the backpacker murders have found more human remains in the Belanglo State Forest. Not yet identified, it's believed they'd been there for more than a year.
The skull and other remains were found 5 kilometres from where the earlier bodies were discovered.
Following the search pattern, they would have been found not that far off a trail.
A police team made the find this afternoon. The scene has been sealed off. Forensic scientists will examine the bones at the site tomorrow morning.
We still have to determine the cause of death of these people and determine whether or not it may or may not be linked to the other bodies.
Detectives are now trying to determine whose remains they are. It's not yet known if they're male or female. No clothing was found. It's possible they could be those of missing German backpackers Gabor Neugebauer, his girlfriend Anja Hubschied, or those of another German tourist, Simone Schmidl. The discovery came soon after police announced they were scaling down the Southern Highland search and reopening dozens of other missing persons files. These include the 1979 disappearance of Alan Fox and his girlfriend Annika Adriansen, who vanished while hitchhiking on the state's north coast. For Alan's father, any new discovery brings a painful wait for more news.
Is it Alan and Annika? Is it, you know, you just can't stop thinking about things.
The search of the Belanglo State Forest, where so far the bodies of Joanne Walters, Caroline Clark, James Gibson and Debbie Everest have been found, will now be stepped up. Police are also expected to mount a massive search of Sydney's Galston Gorge area, near where Gibson's camera and backpack were found. They were discovered just after the couple disappeared. Simon Boda, National 9 News.
An elderly couple has been subjected to a 2-hour ordeal by masked bandits who demanded money and threatened to kill them. The 3 men broke into the house at Girraween last night as the 2 were lying in bed watching television.
Clearly shaken, the 71-year-old woman did not want to be identified today as she described the vicious attack on her and her companion.
And they started bashing him, you know, he was asleep, but they woke him up, asking for money. He couldn't do anything.
In an attempt to stop the 3 men from killing her 75-year-old companion, she told them there was money in the garage at the back of the house. She took the men there several times, but when they found no money, they became more violent.
Well, last time I went up there, he said, well, when we get inside, I'm going to kill you. He said, get on your knees there, in the garage. And I thought he was going to kill me then.
However, she was able to get away and somehow managed to climb an almost 2-metre-high fence to call for help. Both she and her companion were taken to Westmead Hospital, where he remains with injuries to his arms and head. The viciousness of the attack has shocked friends and relatives. The victims now live in fear, wondering why they were chosen.
It's a really unprovoked attack. It's awful. The two elderly couples are in bed.
Police believe there may be a link to a similar attack on another elderly couple in Seven Hills last month. Michael Willisey, National 9 News.
A wedding celebration turned to horror today when a man opened fire with a pistol, killing the mother of the bride and critically injuring a guest. It happened in Launceston in Tasmania. The bride's father has been charged with murder.
The bride and groom had exchanged their vows and were posing for photographs in the picturesque Prince's Square when shots were fired. It's alleged the gunman was the father of the bride. The shooting sparked by an argument. He allegedly produced a .38 caliber pistol and fired at his estranged wife, the mother of the bride, critically wounding her. He fired another bullet at a male guest.
All I heard was a shot. I saw the pistol come up firing off party crackers, and I turned around and saw the gun in his hand.
Over there. Groomsmen in white tails and council park workers in overalls assisted ambulance officers as they treated the victims. The marriage celebrant said he was waiting to go to the reception when the shooting started.
Well, I heard 2 noises, which turned out to be the shots.
The gunman was overpowered by stunned guests.
I was grabbed by different members of the party. I wasn't worrying about that. I was worrying about the bride's mother.
She died later in hospital. The park was roped off as detectives began their investigations. The other victim, who is believed also to be a relative, is in a critical condition after surgery, while a second man was also treated, possibly for shock. The newlyweds were uninjured but went to hospital. The bridal veil abandoned in the back of the wedding car. Jane Hodgkinson, National 9 News.
A sharp increase in exports has helped improve Australia's trade position. The deficit last month was just over $1.1 billion, 158 million better than August. Exports rose 9%, imports up 4%. Taxpayers are about to pay a high price for a major bungle by the Customs Department. The federal government is up for as much as $25 million compensation because customs officials virtually hounded one of the nation's best-known companies out of business.
This deserted factory near Wollongong used to be a hive of activity before the Customs Department effectively declared war on Midford Paramount shirts.
Their business is destroyed. Business is gone.
A top-level team of public service experts, in a confidential report to the government, has now recommended up to $25 million in compensation, and Cabinet is expected to approve the payment next week. The bulk of the money will go to brothers Sid and Buddy McDessie, who had built up the family company.
43 years' hard work has disappeared.
And to their Canberra-based tariff advisor, Clive Roger, whose business was also badly damaged by the Customs Department action.
It's wash and wear super shirts.
Customs raided the Midford factory and Sydney headquarters in 1987, cancelled the company's import quotas and launched a fraud prosecution. But prosecution witnesses were discredited in court, the charges were withdrawn, documents were found to have been doctored. And a parliamentary committee later concluded that Customs had been, at best, incompetent or, at worst, conspiratorial and deceitful.
People's lives, people's businesses were absolutely destroyed by the action of the bureaucracy.
The McDessies gave up the struggle and sold out. 400 jobs were lost. Laurie Oakes, Canberra.
The government has cleared the way for thousands of Chinese students caught in Australia during the 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre to stay here permanently. With their dependents, that comes to more than 28,000 people. Of those who arrived after the crackdown, only the best and brightest will be allowed to stay. On the eve of the Melbourne Cup, leading trainer Lee Freedman and his brother Michael have been suspended for 2 months by the Victoria Racing Club. They've been found guilty of charges following a positive swab taken from Runyon in September. Meanwhile, the Phantom is favourite for the big race at 9-2. Freedman's horse, Sub-Zero, a 14-1 chance of winning successive cups.
A spectacular sunrise gave lie to the cold, windy morning that greeted the Cup horses at Flemington. Appropriate weather for a horse with a name like Sub-Zero. The 5-year-old is attempting to join Archer, Rain Lover and Think Big as the winner of consecutive Cups.
He's going just as well, and he's doing very well in the stable, so, you know, all the indications are he's going as well.
Bart Cummings was on deck at first light to check out his 4 runners, paying the most attention to great vintage.
To look at Air Seattle at Caulfield this morning, you'd never know he missed his lead-up run in Saturday's McKinnon Stakes here at Flemington.
He did the next best thing and galloped a rousing 2,000 metres, followed by an easy workout this morning and a frolic in the sand roll.
If he can get a nice set, 4 or 5 lengths off the lead, 6 lengths off the lead, I think he'll beat him.
Jet-set jockey Michael Kinane in Melbourne to ride Vintage Crop is leaving nothing to chance, rushing from the airport to Flemington to walk the Cup course. There'll be no fitter horse than Al Pompey, who has been prepared for the Cup on these rolling hills near Geelong. Fit as he is, trainer George Hanlon has one slight reservation.
May have been better on another year on him in age, but I don't think I can get him any fitter.
The Phantom is a clear-cut favourite at 9-2 ahead of Al Pompey at 11-2 and Air Seattle at 7-1. Fra is at 20s and the Bolter is Diamond Bases at 200-1. My trifecta is Al Pompey, the Phantom and Drum Taps. John Tapp, National 9 News.
In the news ahead, exposing car dealers' dirty tricks, and Hollywood loses a rising star.
That is a pretty good race.
Organisers of the car race through Adelaide, which ended in tragedy yesterday, have denied they were lax about public safety. 10 spectators, including 2 children, were injured when a car crashed through a safety barrier.
The Formula 500 racing car lost control around a bend, careering at high speed into a crowd of spectators. Bearing the brunt of the impact, 4 members of the Colotti family, 8-year-old Paul suffering serious head injuries, his younger brother Ben a fractured skull. Today, the boy's mother Caroline criticised organisers for what she terms inadequate safety precautions.
I think tyres should have been all around it and people made to stand back a bit further.
The demonstration race is an annual promotion for the Adelaide Grand Prix and has always been held through suburban streets. Organisers today defended the event and their actions, saying drivers had been warned twice to keep the speed at a minimum.
These cars are in a demonstration mode. They're not in a racing mode. And as such, the facilities that were put out there for a demonstration were adequate.
Sharon Godella, National 9 News.
A big search is underway for a light aircraft missing since Saturday on a flight from Melbourne to Queensland. A 45-year-old man and his 12-year-old son were on board the plane, last seen refuelling at Gunnedah. Funerals today for Hamish Wallace and Scott Gressel, the young men who died after their plane crashed in the Blue Mountains last month. A service for 21-year-old Scott was held in Nowra, while 19-year-old Hamish was buried in the central west town of Forbes. Anyone buying a used car is being warned to pay as much attention to the seller as they would to the vehicle. The Motor Trades Association is so concerned about some shonky dealers, it's set up a special hotline.
If you go looking for a car in the classifieds, the Motor Traders Association warns buyer beware. It claims an increasing number of unlicensed dealers masquerading as private owners are selling suspect cars to unsuspecting victims.
The public are being defrauded of their entitlements and rights to both the title of the vehicle plus the warranty provisions.
It was full of rust and it's been dummied
So
up.
concerned is the MTA, it's established a consumer hotline. Victims of used car fraud urged to call. Police urge all potential buyers to check a vendor's licence and address and then check the vehicle's registration, engine and chassis numbers.
It's an avenue whereby car thieves and professional converters of stolen motor vehicles can get access to selling those cars.
A car sold under undisclosed finance may be repossessed as quickly as a stolen one, another common trap in the used car market.
Unfortunately, it's the innocent consumer who would suffer under those circumstances. Not only would they lose their car, but they would lose the money that they've paid.
The MTA hotline will remain open for the next fortnight. Mark Ferguson, National 9 News.
11 Australians caught up in a military coup in the Central African nation of Burundi had made it safely to neighbouring Rwanda. They were on a tour when the trouble began and took refuge in the Canadian embassy before being evacuated overnight. Legendary Italian film director Federico Fellini has died in Rome, aged 73. His career spanned 4 decades and earned him 5 Academy Awards. With films such as La Strada and La Dolce Vita, he was one of the most innovative directors of his generation, offering a unique blend of fantasy and reality. In a coma since a heart attack 2 weeks ago, he died just a day after his 50th wedding anniversary. And in the United States, a movie career has been cut short with the sudden death of rising young actor River Phoenix.
As short as his career was, 23-year-old River Phoenix was highly regarded by Hollywood as a serious actor with a bright future.
I don't feel sorry for myself. I feel like I'm, well adjusted.
That bright future was cut short last night when Phoenix collapsed outside this Hollywood nightclub. He died in hospital 15 minutes later.
At this point in time, the exact cause of death is still under investigation.
Friends have told police moments before he collapsed, Phoenix was acting strange. Already there's speculation his death is drug-related.
I've had a pretty good life, but very kind of random at times, exciting.
His career took off when he starred in the box office success Stand By Me.
Fascinating what $50 can get you at the county recorder's office.
He played a computer whiz kid in the hit Sneakers. Mostly he worked on small-budget films, such as My Own Private Idaho.
Where do you think you're running, man?
Phoenix was rewarded with an Oscar nomination for his role in Running on Empty. Tonight, an autopsy has been ordered to determine what caused his death. Mark Burrows, National 9 News, Los Angeles.
Well, no one likes to think they're wasting money, but nearly 500,000 people in New South Wales are ignoring the chance to save an average of $400 a year. They're the over 60s who are still not claiming discounts on their seniors cards.
Times have really been tougher for the elderly. Costs up, interest down, savings shrinking away. Every dollar counts, yet millions are being lost each week by Australia's over 60s, unaware of a treasure chest of benefits.
Do you have one of these?
No, I don't.
No, I haven't got one, but I've heard about them.
The seniors card entitles everyone over 60 not working full-time to savings on a vast range of goods and services. For example, half-price fares on public transport, cheap movie tickets, car service and repairs, discounted hair care, groceries, and even bonus interest on savings. 1 million people qualify in New South Wales, but 15 months after the scheme began, 400,000 of them still don't have a card.
I suppose I've never bothered to apply.
You must be very wealthy, eh?
No, I'm not. I'm very poor.
Are you?
3838. Everybody enjoys getting something for nothing. But statistically, half the people in this room will not have a senior's card.
41.
They might pick up the odd prize, but they'll be missing out on concessions and discounts worth more than $8 a week.
25.
This is not charity. This is an entitlement.
The money shows Paul Clitheroe suspects a pride factor at work, costing the senior citizens of New South Wales unclaimed benefits worth an astonishing $160 million a year. But the State Office on Ageing says 60s and over working fewer than 20 hours a week should apply at any post office. There's still no such thing as a free lunch, but 20% off the bill at places like Sizzlers may well be as close as you'll ever get. John Collis, National 9 News.
In Sutcliffe Sport next, and the Kiwis starting to show a bit of form.
At last, some solid cricket from them. We'll have that and the Socceroos' heroic effort against Argentina. While Australia's dream of playing in soccer's World Cup is still alive, it's been soured by the resignation of David Mitchell, disgruntled at being on the bench in last night's thrilling draw against Argentina. The game finished 1-1. With the return match in Buenos Aires just over a fortnight away, the Socceroos need to win or have a high-scoring draw to qualify.
Australia's biggest appointment in its soccer history wore a confident look, helped by a ground record 44,000. And the Socceroos set the agenda. Rousing upfield drives rattled their superstar opponents, from Van Blerk to Arnold.
So close for Australia!
To the solo Robbie Slater, Argentina was starved of possession. Captain Paul Wade's marking of Maradona was faultless until the legend got away in the 37th minute.
Here comes a dangerous looking cross, and the goal! The goal for Argentina!
Balbo's goal made it 1-0. 5 minutes later, Zelig to Tony Vidmar to older brother Aurelio.
When we scored that goal, you know, I mean, I looked up at the top of the stand and the whole place erupted. It made you feel proud to be an Aussie.
1-1 at an extra long half-time because of a power failure.
Oh, goodness me, we've lost the lights.
Both sides worked hard at smashing the deadlock.
Down to that near post.
1-1 at full-time, and Australia is still confident it can beat Argentina in the return match. Today it was swimming and thinking about a very special game against a team led by that man, Diego Maradona.
So I even gave him a kiss on the cheek. So. Yeah, he kissed me back. I haven't watched it yet. So.
Peter Overton, National 9 News.
New Zealand has recorded a morale-boosting win against the New South Wales cricket team. Wicket-keeper Tony Blaine steered the Kiwis to a 3-wicket victory, their first win on this tour after 3 losses.
Resuming at 6 for 167, the tourists needed another 79 runs. They lost only 1 wicket in the chase, Sewer falling for 12. That was the only hiccup for New Zealand. Tony Blaine and Denny Morrison steered them home. Blaine remained 45 not out. Morrison was great support with his unbeaten 26.
New Zealand have won the game by 3 wickets.
In golf, more disappointment for Greg Norman, who blew a 2-shot lead on the final day of the rich US Tour Championship to finish second. This putt on the 18th would have forced the competition into a playoff.
4 bogeys on the back 9 for Norman.
Victory in the end to American Jim Gallagher. He won more than $800,000 after beating Norman by 1 shot.
Sorry about Greg. Thanks.
While Norman crashed, his good friend, motor racing star Nigel Mansell, suffered a similar fate in his comeback to the British circuit. Competing in front of his home crowd at Donington Park, the IndyCar world champ was hit from behind with 6 laps to go. He spun into a wall and spent the next 20 minutes trapped in the wreckage. He escaped with only bruising.
I was a little bit dazed, shall we say, but I hope to be released tomorrow.
Clinton Fletcher, National 9 News.
Can't blame Ayrton Senna for that, and tomorrow the big race, Air Seattle.
Really? Okay. I'd like to have Pompey since the Adelaide Cup, so I'll stick.
Okay.
Another big day in the stock market. The All Ordinaries gaining 20 points. Our dollar also up. Alan Wilkie with the weather next. Then the record $13 million lotto week.
Any million I get, I'm sure I can deal with it quite adequately.
There are a few showers off the coast from Sydney this morning, but although it was cloudy at times, it remained fine today. Near the coast, the temperature was generally 2 degrees below average right through the day due to the fresh sea breezes, but inland it was warmer, Liverpool recording a maximum of 24 degrees and Richmond 25. Tomorrow will be mostly cloudy with a few showers developing and the chance of a late storm. Northwesterly winds will freshen and turn southerly in the afternoon, seas rising on a 1 to 2 metre swell. Top city temperature 23 degrees. Satellite picture, one we have to watch, all this cloud coming through fairly rapidly from the west. Most of that cloud actually is middle and high level cloud, and you can see that a lot of it is passing Melbourne now. There's only been 1 or 2 very light showers in the Melbourne area in the past few hours, but we'll have a few showers overnight. And further back here on the weather chart you can see some more cloud, and also there's a trough that will come through tomorrow afternoon, so a few passing showers and very strong winds from the west there. Brisbane tomorrow cloudy, a few showers in Melbourne, Adelaide and also in Perth. Sydney tomorrow, a few showers developing and 23 degrees. Wednesday will be fine, Thursday fine as well. So looks like unfortunately a few showers in Melbourne tomorrow, Brian, for the big cup. The Phantom's the one.
A Phantom. He deserves to be favourite. Most people think it's unlucky, but the number 13 will certainly be anything but for at least one person this week. Experienced players and one-time punters are hoping the big one drops for them as Lotto celebrates another anniversary with a record $13 million in the pot.
However many million I get, I'm sure I can deal with it quite adequately. Have a damn good time.
With the first division prize of $12 million tonight and another $1 million on Thursday, ticket sales have already exceeded last year's biggest splurge ever. And it's still not too late to have a flutter. Some agencies are open until 8 o'clock. A cup and everything. The way it is Monday, November 1st, this is Brian Henderson. Good night.